Hey everyone, and welcome to Sunday night's main event, All Out AfterParty. It is a scorching night here in Southern Ontario, and it must have been a scorcher in Chicago because, well, it was a pay-per-view, and I think it's going to be a mixed bag of feelings on this one. I'm Boris, and I am joined by Matthew and Aaron Grant. Hey.
I'm just sitting here vibing out
Hello.
to that theme song. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just sitting here.
Right?
We actually also have a special extra guest. It's Mini CM Punk.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, too, for joining. I know it's been a crazy weekend. And, Aaron, I know that you're trying to squeeze in all that fun that you can as this is your last weekend before shit gets real again.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate, honestly.
All right, so let's kick things off right away. Everyone knows the deal. We're going to go through the show relatively quickly. We're not going to go give you blow-by-blow accounts because, well, chances are you watch the show, and if you haven't, well, it gets a little boring. But we are going to give you some highlights. We're going to let you know what we thought of the show. We're going to talk a little bit about what we think is happening next. But let's get straight to business. What did you think of the show overall, Aaron?
Honestly, after All In last week, for me, it fell a little bit flat. I feel bad. It was a good card generally overall. I just didn't have I don't think the attention span or the capacity to do a second AEW pay-per-view in a row. I don't know. It wasn't bad, just not the most captivating.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people felt like. I was talking to some people as the show was going on, and they're like, it's good, it's entertaining, but I think people honestly are wrestling out because in the past week we've had 3 pay-per-views, and unfortunately I feel kind of like the drama and everything happening outside of the actual show kind of once again overshadowed what AEW is actually producing. Matt.
Yeah, I think honestly the same thing as Aaron. The pay-per-view felt really flat to me. I think the biggest takeaway for me is how do you not have a world championship defense? I understand the whole real world championship and the controversy surrounding CM Punk, so that's out of the picture now. But you have MJF available, and instead of running him in a world championship match, you put him in a Ring of Honor tag team championship match. And that's no offense to Orange Cassidy or the International Championship, but that to me didn't feel like a main event of a pay-per-view. That's more of like a Dynamite for me.
I agree 100% with you on that, and that's I was trying to understand what they were going for. I understand the whole, MJF and Adam Cole story, but it really did feel, especially on a night where I feel they needed to just elevate that title and put CM Punk firmly behind them. I feel like that wasn't the case. And again, no disrespect or anything, taking anything away from Moxley and Orange Cassidy, because that was a heck of a match, but it just didn't feel like a main event. I actually had one person message me and they said, I don't know why I spent $50 on that. And I understand, right? They spent $100 in the past 2 weeks, and they've kind of felt a little. I don't want to say
sucks
ripped
because
off,
they
but
pigeonholed themselves. They really did with the MJF thing in particular because they already did the double duty thing already last weekend. You couldn't really redo that this weekend and have him defend the world championship as well. They already kind of set up the tag team title defense, so it sucks. But yeah, it just like. There was something that was off about this show. The crowd was on fire. The matches were amazing. The talent came out and kicked ass. It was just something was off about this show.
Yeah,
I agree, and that's like. Go ahead, Aaron. Sorry.
I was just gonna say it comes back to that same word to me, just captivating. Like, and I feel bad, but I'm like you said, good matches, great talent. Genuinely, if it was any other day, probably would have had my attention a bit more. But I'm just so tired at this moment, and we have watched so many great matches and moments in the last couple weeks that I was honestly kind of paying attention, but I was up and down a little bit.
Same here, and I'm taking notes, right? And I'm like, okay, I gotta get back into this match. But you know how I usually rate whether a show is captivating? How often I look at my phone. and I found myself actually looking at my phone a lot more during this show than I normally do while I take notes and watch some good old wrestling.
Yep.
I found that to be the case too. And normally with AEW pay-per-views, I'm literally like pretty much paying attention to the screen for the most part. And I found more time than not, honestly. I was looking at my phone tonight, and again, it's no disrespect to the talent, no disrespect to the entire event itself. It just because of how much hype went into last weekend, we didn't know half the card until the middle of the week this week. And I feel like that took away quite a bit.
Yeah, and again, like it was a good show. Like it was an amazing show, and we like Matt Eder on the chat. He says that he thinks that All In, All Out, 2 best shows in AEW history in some order, and serve as a perfect entry point for any new fan. They need a big, and this is it. So like I think that that's a very fair statement. If you're gonna sit someone down, you want to show them Wembley. I think tonight the roster felt a little extra motivated to bring the house down, and that's exactly what they did. But I think also one of the things is this is a long weekend for us, right? You're asking a lot, especially Labor Day weekend. Aaron, like your situation where you're now back in work mode, right? So I think that played a huge part in this show, at least for me, because I'm thinking of like a million other things as I'm trying to watch this show.
Yeah, no, and then you mentioned already, like we already had 3 pay-per-views in a span of 8 days. It's a lot, or 7 days realistically. It's a lot to process. It's a lot to take in. That's what 4 hours of show. Hypothetically, that's 12 hours of wrestling just in pay-per-views alone in the last week. So, I agree, Joe, in the chat. Like the show was a pretty solid show. And I want to circle back around to the International Championship really quickly because I feel like, and this is kind of me putting my prediction out there, I feel like with the Real World Championship out of the picture, they're trying to elevate the International Championship to where that Real World Championship was. And they're trying to make that championship feel as important as the Real World Championship. And I respect it. The fact that they went out and had that kick-ass match to end off the show. Again, it just something to me personally felt off about the show.
And I think that's what sucks because it was genuinely a good show. And again, I feel like we've said it so many times already, but because our brains are still kind of on last week and just how much hype went into last week, I think if this show happens, say even 2 weeks from now, I would probably feel very different right now.
All right, so let us just run through the show real quick, then we'll give our thumbs up, thumbs down, and then we're going to turn things over to you. And just remember that if you are a patron, you already have the link waiting in your message inbox. And for anyone else, just holler at us, and we can throw the link up so that you can join us and tell us what you thought of the show.
As Scott Snyder would say, holla if you hear us.
Exactly. I love that. All right, so let's get things started with the pre-show. We saw a couple video packages, and then it was the over-budget Battle Royal. We saw Serpentico, Darius Martin, Action Andretti, Commander, Matt Menard, Angela Parker, Sean Spears, Jake Hager, Daniel Garcia, Mark Davis, Kyle Fletcher, and a bunch of other people. The winner here was Hangman Adam Page in just over 13 minutes. Anything that stood out in this for you?
Honestly, the biggest thing that stood out for me was the fact that Hangman didn't have a main match on the show. When he came out, I kind of processed. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess he didn't really have anything going on. And it kind of made it obvious to me right from the get-go that he was going to be the winner of the match. With that said, like, not a bad battle royal. You don't really see bad battle royals in AEW. It served its purpose, and again, the right man won the match.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let us move on to the next match because it was a trios women's match. It was Athena, Mercedes Martinez, and Diamante with Billy Starks in their corner, which was very interesting, versus Hikaru Shida, Willow Nightingale, and Sky Blue. And Joe, I'm gonna throw one out for you because everybody loves some Shida.
Yeah, Shida's dope. I really enjoyed this match. I've said it on Collision Catch Up. I'm enjoying the pairing of Mercedes Martinez and Diamante being on our TVs. I think they bring a lot to the table. It's nice to have some genuine heels in the women's division as well. That's really all I got to say about the match.
And to follow up on the heels, I'm a huge sucker for Athena. So I was very excited to see unexpectedly that she had a match on the show because, again, this was a match that was only announced yesterday.
Yesterday, today, I can't
Yeah,
remember.
I believe it was on Collision that they announced it. So I was very excited to see that and to get to see some of these women get an opportunity to be on the show. And
Also,
overall,
I'm a sucker for hometown moments. Sky Blue, man. Shout out Sky
yeah.
Blue.
Yep, love the gear. Awesome gear there. And, just like Aaron, you're a sucker for Athena. I'm a huge sucker for Willow Nightingale. I've been just on that Willow Nightingale drum since ROH, and I just want her to get her due. But this was a short, fun match. The end was a little iffy because we did see Blue kicking out of a Diamante's move, then Willow performed a Death Valley driver, and then Sky Blue does what I guess was a code blue, but looked more kind of like a pin, and they end up winning in 8 minutes, 30 seconds.
Happy that Sky Blue got that pin too in the hometown. I'm really, really happy that she got that moment. She deserved that.
Yep. All right, then we jump to the trios title match as Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed went up against Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Satnam Singh. Highlight of this match were the intros of Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Satnam Singh. Sanjay Dutt, he has just grown on me so much again. It's amazing, and I absolutely love the work that this team is doing, and I can't believe how much I am enjoying Jeff Jarrett and AEW.
I honestly, man, I've been enjoying Jeff since the beginning, and I really, really enjoying what this entire stable brings to the table in AEW. But I have to do one thing quickly. Whether you're watching us live on YouTube, whether you're listening to us live, or sorry, I should say listen to us on podcast platform, throw your scissors up and scissor me. All right, but the Acclaimed doing their thing. One of the most overacts in AEW, man. It's pretty crazy to see how far they've come from the beginning to what they are today, organically getting over and continuously getting over. I love those guys, and I love what they bring to the table.
Yep, I loved it, and you're right. Like, the Acclaimed story is one that I just love, and one that I hope that they could replicate with other people and quote unquote homegrown talent, because the reactions that they're getting are just absolutely amazing. And this match, honestly, it was exactly what you thought it was going to be. This match was just a clusterfuck. And we saw Gun chop and Singh. Rodman enters the ring. He slams the guitar over Singh's head. Gunn hit Lethal with a famouser. Bowens hit the Arrival. Caster capped it off with a mic drop for the win. As Rodman just chills in the corner and the referee's just like, whatever. Just does the 3 count. The Acclaimed and Daddy Gunn retain the trios title.
How can you not love Dennis Rodman being alongside the Acclaimed? Like, enough said for me, man. Let's embrace that. Let's celebrate that. And let's scissor.
I love it. All right, so that was 0 Hour. Tons of stuff on the go there. So we're going to jump to the actual show. And we kick things off with the ROH Tag Team titles, MJF and Adam Cole versus Alex Reynolds and John Silver. The Grants, what did you think of this match?
I enjoyed the match. They did play into that sort of bit of MJF getting hurt and then having to, leave the match, which it took me away a little bit, but I understood what they were doing and they brought me back to a certain extent. And getting to finish that match injured, making MJF look strong. But no, it was overall a good match, genuinely.
I do enjoy Reynolds and Silver getting a chance to get showcased because they are a truly great tag team, and the Dark Order really hasn't been getting a lot of opportunity in terms of what's been going on lately in AEW, and I think this is a great reminder of what those guys are capable of. I think Reynolds and Silver are genuinely the future of tag team wrestling, and they only scratch the surface of what they're capable of. And MJF and Adam Cole, man, what more can you say when you can get a double freaking clothesline over that hard? There's
And
nothing.
a kangaroo kick.
And a kangaroo kick, like absolute ridiculousness.
It
Also
is,
did
and I
enjoy,
love it. Like, go
Sorry, I
ahead.
was just
Sorry.
gonna say, really enjoying seeing Dark Order more heel again. I feel like we kind of got away from the true heel and into more of like the kind of goofy heel. So it's nice to kind of see them like out there with Evil Uno ringside, just really trying to mess things up. Like I like that. I'm happy to see that back again.
And that mashup theme just gets me every time.
Yeah, it was same here. Like I loved it so much, and you know, with MJF kind of getting that injury in the middle of the match, leaving and then coming back, like they're just building him up as this super face. It's almost to the point where even if it's MJF that double crosses Adam Cole, I think MJF still somehow is the face in that feud. Like he's just so over. He's being such a face right now, and it's great to see. And you know, it's something that's being done way too often in pro wrestling. I think we're seeing this like once a show, once a pay-per-view, PLE, whatever you want to call it, where someone gets injured and then they come back. But I think the execution on this one was done just right. The crowd was super into it and they loved every second of it. And at the end of the day, wrestling is just supposed to be fun. And if the crowd's having fun, that's all that matters.
Yeah, the babyface sympathy for MJF is on another level right now. I keep pondering in my head, like it is September 4th, 2023. We're all talking about the bidding war of 2024. Is that still something that is in the books? Has MJF re-signed? We've only got a couple of months left to figure out if that's the case. I do wonder with the storyline that is going on between Adam Cole and MJF right now. Do we see the double turn happen, and do we see the final months of the potential run of MJF and AEW be as a babyface?
Exactly. I feel like AEW is also setting up a potential out for MJF if he isn't signed and he goes somewhere else. I think that not only do they have that out, but Adam Cole could just be one of the biggest heels saying, I got rid of that guy. So much so he had to go to Connecticut, right? Like,
there's a lot of potential for where they go. A lot of people were expecting the Kingdom to get involved. I'm expecting, honestly, when it comes to the end of the Ring of Honor tag team title reign, they'd lose the championships to the Kingdom, if you ask me.
yep, Tom, 100%. I cannot wait for Evil Uno at the Bell Center in December. That is going to be insane.
That Montreal crowd's going to be insanity.
Yep. All right. So the end of the match saw MJF hit the kangaroo kick, which is super over Silver and Reynolds, and then shook the ropes on Silver and Reynolds. He shakes the ropes, clutching the back of his head. Yet again, we get a double clothesline chant breaking out. Uno climbs onto the apron and was taken out by Cole. MJF called for the double clothesline, tags in Cole. They hit it, and they cover Reynolds for the win in about 14 minutes, 6 seconds.
I do want to give a shout out to everybody that has taken the double clothesline at this point, because everybody that has taken it has literally made it look like death.
Mm-hmm. They really have, especially at Wembley, Aussie Open. That was just amazing. And kudos. And that just goes to show you, right? Like it takes a whole group of people to just get that match just awesome.
And the most simple of things can get the
yeah.
Insane reactions, and that's what we've seen with MJF and Adam Cole. They haven't had to do anything that's outside of the box when it comes to the relationship between the two. Like, I should say they have done stuff that's outside of the box, but what I'm saying is, like, they haven't broken themselves. They haven't had the chance to really show what they're all about yet. They're again, going back to what I've said already on this very show, like they're just scratching the surface of what they're capable of. This storyline is money right now.
And they're just having fun. Like they don't have to break their bodies. They just look like they're having a blast. It is so much fun to watch. And I think that's why their simple moves are so over, because of course you're going to get so hyped when someone is hyping up a double clothesline that much.
From dance-offs to funny vignettes to cool t-shirts to mashup themes to matching gear, like these guys are literally having a blast right now. Like we did mention, yes, it did irk us to not see the World Championship defended tonight, but like this was a really fun match.
Yeah, it just reminds me of the Rock and Saw connection, and that like just two guys having fun. And I loved this next little bit because it just goes to show you how just some simple things that you can do in a show can start an entire program. So after the match, MJF is selling his neck. The trainers are watching him. Cole is watching over him. I like the idea, if you notice this, as MJF is sliding out of the ring and Cole is picking up the belt, he just looks at that world title. And it was like that look of, I
Great
want
visual.
this. And then he looks at MJF. I love that.
Just that little gaze that tells 1,000 words.
But if you're a true pro wrestling fan, we're about to get a true Easter egg here.
Yep. All right. MJF was walking up the ramp. Samoa Joe is coming out making his entrance. And Joe, just like he did in NXT, shoves MJF and kind of did that smile yet again after doing so. Cole tried to calm MJF down, but it was for naught because MJF runs into the ring and attacks Joe. Group of security guards rush to the ring, pull them apart. MJF and Cole eventually headed to the back. I love this. I absolutely love this. And again, it's kind of elevating Samoa Joe and that babyface rub on MJF.
Yeah, I really think we're seeing potentially MJF's next program come to fruition here. Joe's doing some of his best work right now as the King of Television, as the Ring of Honor World Television Champion. He's having incredible matches. I think the match he had with one CM Punk at Wembley was fantastic. I think everything Joe's been doing from the promos to the matches lately has been on point. So why not elevate him and give him that chance to run with the ball?
Also, circumstantially, if doing what they did with just so subtly but so quickly throwing him into a potential program kind of does wash their hands of where he left off with Punk, because at this point, that's all dead. It kind of is what it is. He needs a full gear shift into something else.
Essentially a reset, and what a way to do it, man. That was a fun little segment.
And again, just so simple.
Yep, that's exactly it. And this next match was a match that I was really looking forward to. Love Shane Taylor and all the work that he's done over the years, from teaming with Keith Lee to being a long-running TV champ in ROH. We had Samoa Joe versus Shane Taylor for the ROH TV title. What you guys think of this show, the match?
So, kind of going to be the theme with a couple of upcoming matches that we're going to be talking about here. It's just big, meaty men slapping meat, man. Holy, these guys kick the crap out of each other.
And I think they said it on commentary as well, just like on paper, just almost identical, just like that 6'1", similar weight, similar history, just that face-to-face visual of those two guys just going for it. And it was great.
Yep, I loved it. Like you said, these guys were just kicking each other's ass in the middle of the ring. They're trading strikes. Taylor kind of gets the better of it. Joe catches him with a big shot. Joe threw several kicks at Taylor and then puts him into Coquina clutch for the win in about 6 minutes, 25 seconds. Perfectly short, but it was no issue with that.
It's exactly what it needed to be. It gave Taylor... It showed what Taylor was capable of. It showed that he could hang at Joe's level, and he was still kind of protected with the finish, as well as it took quite a while for him to submit in the submission.
Also, circumstantially, Joe lately is known for basically his squashes. Like his matches, they don't last 6 minutes. His matches, they end when he wants them to end, and that's it. So definitely kept Taylor looking strong in that aspect.
Yep. All right, the next match was for the TNT Championship, and it was Luchasaurus with Christian Cage versus Darby Allin with Nick Wayne.
Yeah, Darby just got the crap kicked out of him. I genuinely, after seeing what he did last weekend in that coffin match, I don't even know how the man's still walking, let alone continuously taking the bumps that he does. Luchasaurus and Christian Cage is one of the most interesting dynamics in AEW today. And Christian Cage is Father of the Year.
Yep. This was again. Darby Allin just scares me sometimes. Like I don't know how he's even walking after last Sunday, let alone just getting tossed around like a rag doll. Like this was Marlena being tossed around by China types of moves. Like it was crazy. Luchasaurus just absolutely just kicks the living shit out of him.
You talk about like the workhorses in AEW. Obviously, Orange Cassidy is very much up there. John Moxley's very much up there. You got to consider Darby Allin one of those as well, man. Like he's been consistently performing. He's been on a lot of the shows, having tremendous matches, putting his body on the line constantly. That word pillar gets thrown around quite a bit, but man, Darby Allin's got to be thrown into that contention.
And
Agreed.
he's very much not even just a workhorse, but he's a workhorse who's willing to put his body on the line in ways that most sane people wouldn't. But he's willing to do it to steal the show. He's not afraid to take absolutely crazy things. He's just basically the kind of guy that's just going to keep going until the wheels fall off, and he's clearly accepted that.
Yeah, that's it's scary, but that's where we're at. So Allen gets to the top. Cage hit Wayne from behind with a chair. Cage placed Wayne over the chair and picked up another. Got the attention of Allen. Luchasaurus cut off Allen on the ropes and then hits him with a tombstone piledriver. Luchasaurus picked up what's left of Darby's body and does the move again. Tosses him into the corner. Luchasaurus and hits him with a lariat to the back of the head and then pins him to get the win to retain the TNT title in 12 minutes 20 seconds. After the match, Cage sets up for a concerto on Allen while Luchasaurus was gonna force Wayne to watch. Sean Spears, Action Andretti, Darius Martin, and other mid-card faces run out for the save. Cage runs away, grabs Luchasaurus and his title first, and run away.
He's doing math.
Oh yeah, I'm doing math because it is day 82 of Luchasaurus not touching the TNT Championship. Christian Cage, I think he swiped it across his shoulder on Collision last night.
Yeah, that made me hyped.
He keeps getting inches and inches away from actually touching his championship. But yeah, we're 82 days into the reign, and we're 82 days in from Luchasaurus not touching his championship.
Amazing. I love that. I love that. And you know that when he does touch it, it's going to be a huge deal. And probably that's when the turn is going to happen. All right. Sorry, I'm just reading some of the comments on the chat.
Yeah.
We'll bring that up after. That's a great one. Then the next match. Probably, in my opinion, the match of the night for me. And I can't believe and look, I criticize AEW more than a lot of other people because I hold WWE and AEW in the same light. It's just that's how I am. But AEW pulled off a WWE-esque match better than WWE, and that was Miro versus Powerhouse Hobbs. This match just captivated the crowd, captivated every single person watching. This match was perfection and the true definition of big, beefy, meaty motherfuckers hitting each other.
How many meat-related chants were there? Did we have a counter on that? Like legit?
I don't think we've ever heard meat so often on commentary and in chants since Sean Stasiak.
Yeah.
And he didn't get a chance, guys. So that would.
Yeah, I was gonna. As soon as they said chants, I'm like, no one ever chanted for him. Come on, Boris.
But man, holy! Like some of the stuff they were doing in this match too, man. Like I seen Miro do a flipping senton off the apron onto Hobbs, and I was just like, wow! Like there were certain things that were going down in this match, and the way they were hitting each other, the sound that was coming off some of those strikes, man. Like I'm a performer myself, and holy crap, like they're gonna be feeling that one for a good week, easy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was crazy.
Just have
It was
appreciation
crazy
for a couple guys that size for going at that pace, that velocity, that, like you said, the flips, like just absolutely insane and amazing match.
Yeah, like this match, if this was a 5 minute match, you would have been okay. They kept up the pace for 5 minutes, but this match went 15 minutes, 40 seconds.
No, and I'm really happy they gave it time because the way they've built it up on Collision has been fantastic. Like they've been keeping the two away from each other until last night, where they had a bit of an interaction, and they made people genuinely excited for this match. And I think it truly delivered. And like you said, honestly, I agree with you. This may be my match of the night as well. These guys showed what they were about. They showed that they could be not just at that mid card level, but above that, and could be elevated to that main event. They could be the future of the AEW main event division.
And it's so funny because, like, on BAM and on other shows, the main show, anytime that we've kind of talked as a group, this match always concerned me because I felt that both Hobbs and Miro couldn't afford a loss. But this match was so good that it didn't matter who lost. Like, these both guys look so much stronger after the match than they did going into the match.
And like I know, obviously after the match, spoiler alert, Miro ends up picking up the victory. But after the match, we see the embracement, and that was a cool moment before we got into the beatdown from Hobbs. But like, man, like just seeing them two embrace and the Chicago crowd really give them their props, they're just due, because they beat the crap out of each other and gave Chicago a show tonight.
Yep. Crowd was hot for this. Miro drives Hobbs from the second rope. Hobbs catches him with a spine buster that looked like it was going to end the match, but that wasn't it. Hobbs stomps Miro's back and then tried to use his own game over finisher, but Miro slipped out of it, put Hobbs down with a spine buster of his own that just looked absolutely devastating. Then he stomps the back and applies the game over and gets the win. And like I said, 15 minutes, 40 seconds. After the match, Hobbs held out his hand. Miro eventually accepted the bro handshake. Miro turns to leave. Hobbs hits him from behind. Hobbs is just kicking the ass out of him. And that's when CJ Perry comes out. This was interesting because she comes out, tries to save her husband. Just really weird in terms of like what they were going for, but it worked. One thing that go ahead.
Sorry, as we both have reviewed Collision over the run of Collision thus far. I'm pretty sure like a couple of weeks ago he denounced his wife.
He's basically talked about how he's given up absolutely everything. Talks about how he's given up everybody around him, given up people he loves, and specifically, he always seems to have that slow down moment when talking about giving up his love or giving up his wife or denouncing. Like it's just there's kind of been that build to him really, really walking alone and being that redeemer. So I think her showing up is going to lead to honestly a very interesting story.
And it's kind of riding that fine line because the last time we've seen them two together was the infamous storyline in WWE where Lana obviously turned on Rusev.
Yep. It was very interesting. And what I found the most interesting is that they didn't call her by any name on the Tony Conotron, as I like to call it. You saw Hot and Flexible, and they didn't call her CJ Perry. They didn't call her Lana. They just said Miro's wife constantly.
I'm not going to lie. The fact that was her Titantron absolutely popped me.
Well, he had just left the room because he was going to make a quick run to the store in between matches. So as that match ends, he's going to put on his shoes. I hear music, see the Tron pop up. I'm sitting for a second and I just yell across the house. I'm like, who's Hot and Flexible? Like, I don't know who that is.
Amazing. Love that so frickin' much. But yeah, it was, so that's that. And I agree with you, Aaron. Like, we are going to get some really cool stories. And what I like about AEW is that, again, they kind of take stories wherever these people were and they bring them into AEW. So I'm very curious to see where they go with this.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Next match for the TBS title, Chris Statlander versus Ruby Soho. This match was pretty good. The ending, again, kind of left me a little puzzled, but it's going to make for a good story moving forward. What did you guys think?
I'll be honest, I missed a lot of the match itself. I did see the finish, and it does have me saying this. I was questioning the entire Tony Storm character in the first place. I was on the fence, but she sold me over the last couple of weeks.
Same.
The shoe throwing, the Marilyn Monroe type esque character she's got going on, the dramatic meltdown she's been having. I'm into it, and the fact that she just casually came out from underneath the ring, Hornswoggle style, and just casually stole the paint away from Ruby to cause the finish was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, it just seems so weird and awkward. But this Tony Storm character, like, I don't know
The way she sells
where
it
this
is
idea.
fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, again, what we always talk about, all across all the various shows on the network. It's just the way that she carries herself, the way that she looks at the camera, even the way that she was spraying the spray can. Like, it was just honestly so good. So Soho picks up the spray paint can while Saraya's distracting the referee. Tony Storm comes literally out of nowhere, under the ring, takes the can from a confused Soho. Statlander hit her Sunday Night Fever and got the win to a very dismayed Saraya, Soho, and Tony Storm, which is just amazing. So Chris Statlander wins in 12 minutes, 25 seconds.
I also find it very interesting that the titles have kind of switched roles, where the Women's World Championship has almost become like the marquee championship in a way where, like, it's not being defended as often in bigger matches, where the TBS championship is now being defended all the more often, with Chris Statlander being the champion.
Yeah.
Well, I think that even started back when Jade was champ. Like that championship really, I feel like, has always kind of been held to a higher caliber for that reason.
I just mean in the sense of like what the match caliber we're getting now, and that's no offense to what Jade brought to the table before, but I think since Statlander's taken over as a champion, we've really seen that championship elevated to where we know we're going to get a good match anytime that the title's on the line.
That's true.
Yeah. It really makes me think of that, the way that the Intercontinental was treated, in the late 80s, early 90s, where it was that workhorse belt. And then you had the heavyweight, the world title kind of with Hogan for so long. And, that was, very not defended too often.
And with Saraya being the champion, like, I'm not expecting a crazy amount of defenses as well. She's in previous time not really showing up to a tremendous amount of TVs as well. So it does make me question what the future is with that championship and with the Outcasts going forward.
Here's the thing, similar to Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, if we can get a compelling story with the Outcast, which it seems like we're going to get, I'm fine with that. Saraya can be featured on TV. She doesn't have to defend her title, and we can keep the title strong with a very good story and great character work.
And it gives the opportunity, too, for something that a lot of people do complain about when it comes to AEW, and that's multiple women's storylines going on at the same time.
Bingo. Let us move on to the strap match. Bryan Danielson versus Ricky Starks. I just love the fact that Bryan Danielson, number one, anytime CM Punk becomes CM Punk, he steps up in AEW. And boy, oh boy, did he step up tonight. This match, considering the last time we saw him in Toronto wrestling with a broken freaking arm, this match, he started bleeding like 5 seconds into the match, pulled a Moxley in this one.
So the first thing from Collision Catch Up was I was questioning whether he was at the 100%.
Yeah.
I was wondering, with him being left off of All in London and him all of a sudden showing up with the situation that had gone down, filling the role and giving Ricky Starks that big time match on this show, was he 100%? And then we see this and I'm just like, well, all right, here we go.
Yeah, even if he wasn't, like, amazing. Sorry, Aaron, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say, even kind of along what you said, even if he wasn't, I said this last night when we were discussing his how well he is healed up, if he's ready. And I kind of had the thought of, it's a strap match, it's a no DQ. In a weird way, he can be safe because people don't care about these big power moves. They want to see them bleed. They want to see them whip each other with the strap. So I was like, all in all, as crazy as it sounds, this might have been an ideal match for him to come back to if he is still not at 100%.
And holy crap, some of the whips in this match, like I took some kendo stick shots probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago in a match. And like I felt those. And I think I took like 4 or 5 shots and I was welted up for about a week.
Your arm's still yellow.
And I just think about how many shots these guys took in this match and how their bodies are going to look and how their bodies are going to feel. Like, holy, what a match for Danielson to come back to.
Yeah, and Aaron, you brought up a great point because you're right? He didn't have to be technically sound in this match, so you were able to kind of hide the fact that he wasn't at 100%, but then it being a strap match, no DQ, blood flowing everywhere, it's like, just what is going on? And this was a really great match. And one thing, number one, this always brings me back to, and I get these like weird visions because it really reminds me of my childhood, seeing these guys whip each other with the strap. And secondly, it's, if you notice the amount of times that Danielson stopped himself from using the strap and just hitting Starks in the face or the ear or something very dangerous, like Starks was in great hands, and that's actually the safety is what I noticed the most, which is kind of ironic when you think about it.
Justin Roberts was sitting ringside getting some PTSD as Brian was choking Ricky Starks, though.
Yeah.
I got to give Ricky Starks some serious props, though, man. Since the beginning of Collision, he's really stepped up and shown that he is a star in AEW, man. And I'm so happy to see it because he is truly that, man. He's absolute.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. He's been so good on Collision, and it's like he's been like, I could kind of feel like everyone on Collision kind of has a chip on their shoulder. They weren't featured on Dynamite, and they're like, you know what, we can carry a show. We do deserve to be here. You take a look at Bullet Club Gold. You take a look at Ricky Starks. These are just a few examples. Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs, right? Like, these are people who I kind of feel like they just weren't being featured, and they're putting out some amazing work to the point where Collision is my favorite show that AEW produces.
I honestly agree, and it's kind of nice having that split roster, having that because I know when everything did happen with Punk this week, that was something that Matt vocalized, was just like, I'm really scared. What if they just turn Collision into one of those another
like
show?
Dynamite 2.0, essentially, where like the storylines from Dynamite just essentially carry over to the Collision. And like I was genuinely worried that like with all that they've built up with guys like Ricky Starks, guys like Powerhouse Hobbs, guys like Miro, all these guys that Bullet Club Gold, a lot of these guys that have been featured and featured very well on Collision thus far, where we're going to see that potentially go away, because the whole goal of Collision in the first place when the show was introduced was essentially a separate brand, so CM Punk could have his guys there. And now that CM Punk is gone,
but I think at least Collision has done its job in building so many stars genuinely that we never got the opportunity to really appreciate and see nearly as much when they were just kind of sprinkled into the main show or on AEW Dark. So as much as, yeah, Punk was a big part of Collision, I think it's still going to be just an absolute killer roster that's going to continue just to keep building.
Yep. All right, Big Bill shows up, attacks Danielson. Ricky Steamboat left the broadcast table, pulled Bill to the ground. He blocked the punch. Bill grabs him by the throat. Danielson tossed Starks at Bill to free Steamboat. A little while after this, Starks sets up for his Rochambeau, but Danielson slipped away, hit him with a knee, and we got a very close near fall. Steamboat goes back to the broadcast table, white blood from his hand. Danielson grabbed the arms of Starks and stomped him repeatedly. Danielson then applied a label lock. He let it go, put the strap around the neck of Starks, choked him with it, and Starks chokes out.
This
16 minutes, 40
this
seconds.
sequence was absolutely money. The fading from Starks and just the transition from the label lock to the strap being introduced. I If this is not match of the night, this has to be second match of the second up for match of the night. I truly believe these guys brought it tonight as well.
Something that this show really did a great job of is protecting wrestlers in the sense of no one looked weak after their match. We talked about Hobbs and Miro. Here's another example where Starks didn't give up, right? He got choked out, and that's how the match ended. So again, everyone is staying super strong, and that's what you love to see.
And it leaves room for potential rematch as well. I would love to see these guys go at it again. Grand Slams on the horizon, Wrestle Dreams on the horizon. There's a lot of matches that need to be set up.
Oh, there's a lot of great AEW wrestling coming our way in over the next few weeks. All right, the next match was Katsuyori Shibata and Eddie Kingston versus Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta.
Eddie Kingston, continuously one of the most over wrestlers on the roster. It is insane to see the reactions he gets countrywide, nationally. Like, he is insanely over, and I love to see it, man. He's one of the best in the game. Promos, in ring, he brings it. And to see these four guys going at it, I think Yuta stepped up big time in AEW too. To see his allegiance with the BCC has been awesome. And then Shibata, Claudio, like, what more can he ask?
What can we say?
Super fun match.
Yep. Castagnoli goes for a Ricla bomb, but Kingston avoids it, hits him with a back fist. Kingston then hit a Northern Lights bomb and had the pin, but Yuta broke it up. Shibata put Yuta in a sleeper and then shoved him into a back fist from Kingston. Shibata put Kingston in the sleeper again, but then Castagnoli recovers, drops Kingston with an uppercut, and pins him for the win in 15 minutes, 55 seconds. The end kind of came out of nowhere, but I just love that real fight feel because literally a punch can knock you out and someone can get a 3 count.
I've been noticing lately they've been using Claudio's uppercut a little bit more seriously, and honestly, I enjoy it. Like you said, if a punch can knock you out, why not an uppercut? It makes a lot of sense, and Claudio's got one of the best uppercuts in the game, so it makes even more sense.
Yep. Aaron, anything to add?
I was just going to say, I feel like Claudio and Yuta in particular looked incredibly strong tonight. Like, I know yesterday there was a bit of a weird promo, or maybe Wednesday, I suppose.
No, it was Collision. Yeah.
No,
it was Collision.
It was the previously on Dynamite, whatever, of just,
Oh.
once again, we're talking about the strength of Claudio's uppercuts. Yuta can take them, and he just keeps getting back up. So they really are building how strong Yuta is, and I think he really showed it tonight. And again, I feel like every time I watch Claudio wrestle, at some point during the match, I will say out loud, he is so strong. Like, it's incredible to me. So much deserved win. Great match.
Yep. And I think that this ultimately sets up a final battle match for the ROH Championship. We're finally going to get Castagnoli versus Kingston.
And what a moment we potentially have on our hands if that takes place, where final battle usually takes place. I'm just saying.
Yep. Exactly. I can't even imagine. Oh, I can't wait for that. All right, this next match was a barn burner. Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita with Don Callis. This match was great. We've talked a lot about, Darby Allin just, throwing caution to the wind. We have the Jeff Hardys, the Kevin Owens, these people who, we think are going to have shorter careers because of just the risks that they take. Kenny Omega needs to be high up on that list because this guy just constantly delivers, puts his body through hell, and he just gets great matches from literally anyone.
I think it's been fantastic the last couple of AEW pay-per-views to see Kenny Omega in a singles fashion again. I think the trios run was great with the Bucks. I think even the tag run with Hangman was great, but Kenny Omega at his best in AEW is singles, and we've seen it over the past couple of pay-per-views with Ospreay and now with Takeshita. Like, these matches were fan-freaking-tastic. Again, like we kind of talked about at the beginning of the show, how like this show felt off, but there were so many great matches on this show, and this was just another example. The storyline has been progressed very well with these guys. Callis has kind of been all over the place lately with what he's been doing, but The allegiance with Takeshita has been awesome, and I think this match delivered.
Yep.
Especially with Callis and that buildup of Kenny essentially being his nephew, like growing up together, and just that extra element of evil turn that comes from it, and the dominance that Takeshita was able to take in that match. For me, anytime I see Kenny Omega in a match, I do know this is probably going to be one of, if not the best matches of the night, just because his talent blows me away every time. And I would say that still held up tonight.
Oh, 100%. It's kind of funny because as we're running through this card, at the start we kind of talked as like, we were a little distracted. This card was good, but it wasn't like as we're talking about the show, I'm like, you know what? This show was actually great.
No, a fantastic show. Again, it's just it felt again like for me personally there was something missing. Doesn't mean that like the matches weren't great and like we're going through it and that's clearly evident. Like these guys are putting on a fantastic show after everything that went down last week, and everybody came, like you said, kind of with the Collision roster. Everybody came with a chip on their shoulder tonight, the entire roster, and came to kill it and show what AEW was all about.
Yep.
Yeah. And once again, we said it from the beginning too, like those matches were honestly incredible. Like it's another one of those shows that I can't really say there was any bad matches of the night, but it was just that collective. I had a horrible attention span. And again, that's kind of what you were saying earlier about your phone. If you're reaching that point where you find yourself looking at your phone, or like I crocheted an entire stuffed animal kind of while I was watching the show, which I do multitask, but at the same time, that's when you can tell that I'm kind of in and out a little bit.
I have a theory. We haven't seen El Generico in so many years, but by God, Takeshita was basically El Generico in this match, doing haluva kicks, doing blue thunder bombs. I think we finally solved it.
Did he leave Mexico? Did he leave the orphans?
Right? Well, did anyone ever find a body at that fire? I don't think so. I just loved. Exactly. I just loved it. Like it was great to see Takeshita kind of doing the whole Sami Zayn, El Generico stuff throughout this match. Callis tries to stab Omega with a screwdriver, but Omega moved and the screwdriver got stuck in the mat. And I love that visual. They did a great job of showing that, of capturing that. I criticized AEW production a lot, and even this show had a lot of issues with missing moves, missing spots, but this was great to see. Omega hits Takeshita with a pair of knee strikes. Takeshita grabs a screwdriver, and when Omega hoisted him up for the one winged angel, the referee saw the screwdriver, pulls it away. Then Takeshita does a wheelbarrow move and a knee strike for a near fall. He lowered his knee pad and drilled Omega with a knee strike that gave him the win in 22 minutes 30 seconds.
A big win for Takeshita. I think this was needed. I don't think this hurts Omega as well. It does progress the storyline as the screwdriver seems to be the focal point of the storyline. I think we're going to have something that does involve the screwdriver, whether it's like a lights out match or an unsanctioned match or something along those lines, where the screwdriver ends up being kind of the finale point of the feud. It's clear that that's going to be the case, whether that's Grand Slam, whether that's Wrestle Dream, or whether that ends up being progressed out even further than that. It seems clear to me that that's the direction going forward, but these guys brought it tonight, and I look forward to future meetings between the two.
Yep. The next match, what could have been a very awkward affair with the crowd, kind of wasn't, and I'm glad for that. And that's FTR, Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, and the Young Bucks, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson versus Bullet Club Gold's Jay White, Juice Robinson, Austin Gunn, and Colton Gunn. Man, the Guns have improved tenfold in the past 2 months.
I'm gonna say two things. Number one, you referred to him wrong. His name is Dax Hardwood. Collision catch-up joke. Check out the show. Number two, I am very sad because although there were many Card Blades in the crowd, where's the real one? Where's Card Blade? Where's the star of the show?
I love that. Man, this match saw a lot of stuff. It even saw Cash Wheeler unloading a pair of knees with the Bucks. Yeah, I said that. This match had just a lot of stuff left, right, and center. What else happened in this match? FTR went for a shatter machine on White, but Robinson broke it up. Harwood and Nick combined for a shatter machine on one of the guns. Nick took out Robinson with a dive from the top rope to the floor. Matt and Harwood hit White with a BTE trigger, which was great. Harwood covered him, but Gunn broke it up. Colton took out Matt with the Famouser on the floor. Back in the ring, FTR went for their finisher on White again, but Robinson broke it up again. White hits a Blade Runner on Wheeler. Colton threw Hardwood to the floor and then covered Wheeler to get the win for Bullet Club Gold in 21 minutes, 35 seconds.
I have one request, Tony Khan. Just do us all a favor and buy the license to Many Men for Bullet Club Gold. That entrance needs it.
Yep.
And speaking of licensed music, we did not mention in the Danielson Starks match, Bryan Danielson once again coming out to the final countdown.
You're right. Yeah, I did skip that. Yeah, I love that. Also in that entrance, man, I wonder if someone told Steamboat something, but he was talking through that entrance, and I'm like, dude, just let it happen. Just let it happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. But going back to the 8-person tag, I genuinely enjoyed the cohesiveness between FTR and the Bucks. Bullet Club Gold, like we already talked about already, man. The stars of Collision, my opinion.
I was going to say, genuinely, my favorite part of Collision, I think, is Bullet Club Gold. They have completely embraced their
the Bang Bang Gang,
and they steal the show for me like every time.
Guns up, because those guys bring it, and they brought it tonight as they get a big victory over 2 of the top tag teams, and not just AEW but pro wrestling.
And again, as I said earlier, right, no one looked weak in defeat because you still have storyline reasons with FTR and the Young Bucks not being on the same page. And then you have Bullet Club Gold looking strong as all hell as a cohesive unit. And again, all 8 guys look stronger after the match than they did before the match.
Whether it's a potential Bullet Club Gold FTR rematch, whether it's maybe a triple threat tag between Bullet Club Gold, the Bucks, and FTR, it's clear that there's something being set up here for the tag team titles going forward, and I'm excited for it regardless.
And kind of that question mark between FTR and the Bucks, as they've kind of avidly been showing their dislike for each other and not really wanting to show sportsmanship for each other, but then still working together tonight. So curious to see where that goes as well.
Yep. Exactly. All right, and this leads us into the main event for the AEW International Championship, Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley. First off, I want to give kudos to Orange Cassidy's almost 11-month reign. Most fighting champion. He did a great job. I know he turned a lot of haters into fans throughout the 11 months, and this was a great cap and just a great story to be told because Orange Cassidy has been falling apart. He's falling at the seams in front of our eyes with every match. I just love how much tape he had, that K-tape. And Jon Moxley took it to him. But in defeat, Orange Cassidy looked great because he took it to Moxley as well. And he just looked strong even with the loss.
You look at all the male championships in AEW. You look at the World Championship, MJF. You don't really see a tremendous amount of defenses with that championship. You look at the TNT Championship, which many consider one of the most cursed championships in AEW. You look at the International Championship and what it brings to the table. I think it's no question after the reign that Orange Cassidy had, he has elevated the prestige of that championship. He has elevated what he brings to AEW as a whole. I think there's a lot to be commended to this title reign for AEW. I think on a consistent basis, he had consistently good matches. He brought out the best in everybody that he wrestled. And honestly, man, like Orange Cassidy, again, going back to that pillar line, he has to be acknowledged as one of those guys too, man, because he consistently brings it. And more recently too, we're seeing the promo side of Orange Cassidy, and
Yep.
It's been really nice to see that brought to the table, the diversity of that character being opened up. So I just wanted to make it a point to go out of my way to put over Orange Cassidy in that title reign, because in a AEW where you have the World Championship not being defended much, where you have the TNT Championship not being defended all that much, where you have currently the Tag Team Championship on a makeshift team, the International Championship is the championship where people can just sit back and relax and know that they're going to see a good professional wrestling match.
I'm just sitting here doing the math. I didn't really have any concept of how long he had been that international champion. I knew the 41 weeks, or no, sorry, 41 wins or and title defenses. That's literally almost once a week. He has defended that title and had genuinely great matches every time. And I think this build for him has really just shown he is more than just his character work, which is a really hard pigeonhole to get out of. But again, his wrestling physically speaks for itself, and hearing his promos this week put him into an even better light for me. I'm already a big Orange Cassidy fan, but I'm genuinely still, he just continues to surprise and impress me.
The main thing of that entire promo package prior to the match was literally Orange Cassidy's promo from this past week, and like that being the selling point on the main event of the show is huge, from a guy who literally people were essentially shitting on several years ago to now being like one of the top guys in that company, one of the guys you can go to and know that you're going to get a top tier main event match like we did see tonight, like we've been seeing consistently with that championship, is insane to me. Big shout out to Orange Cassidy, and like Joe said in the chat, acknowledge OC. I 100% agree.
Yep. Can't not acknowledge the man. And it's crazy to think that he won the title here in Toronto last October. Like, number one, where has time gone? And number two, that's an incredible run that he's had.
100%. I will say the end of the show, like giving Orange the moment, felt great, although I was expecting something to go down, and I don't know if that was just me. And I don't know if it's just the PTSD vibes of all those NXT shows in the past with the copyright popping up and something, me just expecting something to go down, but it just felt something was going to happen and it didn't. And maybe to me, that's why it felt flat, but I did enjoy seeing Orange get that moment.
And I think now Orange is going to take a very well-deserved break and slowly piece himself back together.
Yep. That's what I'm assuming is going to happen. This match had everything. Cassidy goes for an orange punch. Moxley counters that into a cutter, but Cassidy avoids Moxley's finisher, comes back with an orange punch, runs the ropes, spears Moxley for a near fall. He put his hands in his pockets and gave a kneeling Moxley the light leg kicks. They were becoming stiffer and stiffer and faster. The crowd just went nuts for this. Cassidy runs the ropes and was turned inside out by a Moxley clothesline. Cassidy was back up. Moxley turned him inside out again with a second clothesline. He hits Cassidy on the side of the head and covered him for a 2 count. Then, a great moment. I just love how Moxley kind of did, the sign of the cross. And Excalibur did an amazing job of selling this. Moxley hits a huge Death Rider for a near fall. Cassidy motioned for Moxley to wait and then flipped him off. Moxley hits Cassidy with a high angle Death Rider and then pins him in 19 minutes 50 seconds to win the match. And as we mentioned, after the match, Danielson, Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta comes out to celebrate with Moxley. Moxley kind of stumbles and falls over. Again, I love this because it just showed that he was put to his limit. Cassidy took him to the limits, and this was a banged up Cassidy, right? So once the music stopped, the crowd starts a freshly squeezed chant for Cassidy, gets to his knees. The fans cheers and chant, "Thank you, Orange." Cassidy got to his feet, held up his fist, and that was AEW All Out 2023.
Yeah, again, like a very fun show altogether. I think the match quality was there. I think just the back-to-back, they're really going to have to find a way to manage that properly next year if they're planning on doing that again, because a lot of hype obviously went into the Wembley show with it being as big of a show as it was, and it just felt like this didn't really have anything behind it, whether it's a fan that was in the audience, whether it was a fan that paid the money to watch the show. I think you kind of felt slighted going into this event, and the performers made you kind of feel a little bit different tonight with how much they put into the show and how much quality came out of this event. However, again, I think next year they got to go about this a little bit differently.
Yep. I think you said it best. All right, we're going to turn things over to you, the listeners. Again, if you're a patron, you already have the link in your inbox. If you're not a patron, just shoot a message in the chat and we'll send the link over to you. Matt, we're going to cover the press conference stuff in a little bit. But like I said, I do want to turn things over to everyone. But before we do that, Aaron and Matt, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. What say you?
You're going middle?
Middle. Aaron's going middle.
Middle high. Again, it's when I can't really give it any less than a middle, because once you really break it down, it was genuinely a good show. But again, It was just, we've said it many, many times, the attention span wasn't fully there for this one, just given the circumstance. What are you doing?
I give it 1, 2, 3 CM Punks out of 5.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to give this a thumb up. I think that the performers just gave it their all. I think that they wanted to put the focus back on the wrestling and the company itself. And, I think that they were able to do that. Yeah, the 1 week turnaround was a little tough. Some of the stories were lacking, but from just a pure wrestling and entertainment point of view, this show had that. And that's all that matters, like I said earlier.
I think too, obviously, like we've somewhat touched on the amount of drama that's been going on did take away from the build and made people more invested in the drama than the show that was coming up. So hopefully next year we won't run into a scenario that happens. And again, we can kind of see this kind of be a little bit smoother.
Well, I think next year will be
it's all trial and error with pro wrestling at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And also circumstantially, compared to last year and this year, Punk will not have any involvement in next year's All Out. So more than likely a little less drama.
Hopefully. Knock on wood. All right, Tom, we're going to bring you up. I hope you're ready. So let us know what you thought of the show. Hey, Tom, how's it going?
Hey, guys. First, I have to say, Orange Cassidy, what he has done since the first ever AEW show in Toronto has been amazing. And I really think that I really liked that the Dark Order got a spot on the card. And I think coming out of this, two things are going to be looked at. One is going to be the buy rate, because the buy rate will decide on if they will have back-to-back pay-per-views or if they will move this week back next year. And the other one is I'm wondering, what will CM Punk's friends now do? Because we have seen in the past that people will whine and cry in AEW. So.
Yeah, we seen Cash Wheeler last night in Collision throw up the X as he was coming out. They're still in allegiance, obviously, there to CM Punk. So that is a very good point. And the buy rate, like you mentioned, is a very good point as well, because that is a very telling point. I think Tony's made it very clear that he wants to continue with the bank holiday shows in both the UK and the US. So I think we are going to see the back-to-back. It's just, I think maybe if they can find a way to make it like a package deal, or again, just present it a little bit better than they did this year.
Yeah, I think Tony
Yep.
had made it clear in the media scrum last week that he essentially said just from ticket sales alone, they already have made their money. So he essentially implied that if the pay-per-views don't sell, he doesn't really care. He's like, I know for a fact that we have sold and we've made our money back. So I like it this way. I'm going to keep it this way. So I think we are going to see it still continue this way, but I like your idea of like maybe making it a package deal or doing something to kind of entice fans a little bit more.
Yep. I think that's the important part. And maybe they can learn from their lessons. Like Matt said, everything's trial and error in wrestling. Maybe they can announce a lot of the card beforehand for All Out, but also kind of having, the winner of this match is going to face X person at All Out, the following week. Again, trial and error, like you said, but yeah, it just leads for a very busy weekend because it seems that WWE also likes to use the Labor Day weekend for a PLE. So I think, the past couple weeks have been very difficult to be a wrestling fan and watching everything. But I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just been a lot of time, but it's been really great shows overall. Anything else, Tom?
I guess the Law had Trish Stratus, and SNME Radio has Aaron Grant. It's always nice to get different perspectives.
Yep.
Thank you. I don't think I've ever been compared to Trish Stratus before. I'll take it.
Awesome, Tom.
Don't
Thank
give
you
her
so
too
much.
credit. That head's gonna blow me out of the frame. No.
Tom, thanks as always for joining us on these after parties. You're consistently on the line. So thank you again. Means a lot to all of us, to the entire crew.
And for anybody out there that wants to join, it is amazing to talk to these fine folks. So jump on and enjoy.
My man, we
Awesome.
appreciate you.
Thanks, Tom. All right. So again, lines are open. You can chat with us. Let us know in the chat if you want to jump on. But we're going to get to a few comments from Matt Eder from the SNME Network, who's obviously watching the presser. So here's a very interesting one. Nick Hausman asked a question about morale backstage and asked Tony if there's anything different he would do in the wake of CM Punk. Tony didn't answer, which really doesn't surprise me. At this point,
I think the wound is too fresh right now. He might have a media ready answer in like a week, but I think he's learned his lessons with media scrums to not dive straight into that backstage drama.
I think too
Yep.
with Tony, like you get a lot of no comments when it comes to Tony in particular situations like this, and I get it. Like you got to cover your bases, especially if there's a potential lawsuit on the horizon from CM Punk. So I do wonder if we're ever going to hear the actual story of what happened. Are we going to see a Dark Side of the Ring episode of ever one of the story?
I hope so. We've been saying that nonstop since last night. We're like, how long do we have to wait? Because we need to see.
yeah. All right, it's crazy. Oh, so much drama. All right, Christian was in character. Hausman asked another question about Edge. Christian said he had no friends and kind of left it at that. And then additionally,
You literally took the words straight out of my mouth.
That is so funny. I love that. That is actually brilliant because again, that plants seeds moving forward. Then Christian says he signed a big fat contract extension and he deserves every penny.
He's got to find some more moms and some more talent with dead dads, I guess. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
It's
All right.
alarming how many he's found.
Right, it's crazy. Chris Statlander saying super nice things about Orange Cassidy. Seems like they're legit friends. I like this one. Danielson was asked, and he talked about Ricky Starks, and he said he carried me through this match tonight. Had super kind words for Ricky.
Ricky Stark's getting his flowers. You gotta love to see it from literally what many call the best technical wrestler in the world. Hell yeah.
Right? You love to see it. And again, going back to what we've said about Collision and some of these people who seem to have a chip on their shoulder, wanting to prove that they do deserve to be there. All right. So I think, go ahead, Matt.
Oh, it's just with the potential of Starks being left off the show with the situation that had happened. It's really good to see the turnaround and to see not only did he get the match with Danielson, but he had such a good match with Danielson. He left that lasting impression on him.
Yep. Kudos to him and kudos to everyone and kudos to all of our listeners. Again, I want to thank everyone for listening, especially the patrons, because you do help keep the lights on. And again, if you're listening to us on podcast form, remember that you can watch us live each and almost every single pay-per-view, depending on how many pay-per-views are on that weekend. But we do live stream the after parties on Facebook, Twitter, and the YouTubes. And just remember that if you are watching us on YouTube, go ahead and sign up for the podcast using your favorite podcast app, patreon.com/SNME radio if you want to be part of the family. Aaron and Matthew, thank you too so much. It has been a pleasure.
Oh, always a blast to talk some professional wrestling. I am a big fan of what AEW brings to the table. I've got a lot of close personal friends that work there as well. So it's always a good time to chat some All Elite Wrestling and to represent the SNME brand. Let's go.
Awesome.
And
thank you.
Thank you so much for having us as well.
Anytime. On behalf of Aaron and Matthew Grant, you've been listening to the All Out After Party. Thank you so much. And just remember, leave it locked here on SNME Radio on your favorite podcast catcher. Subscribe on YouTube, etc., etc., etc. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, stay tranquilo.